Hi there, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for watching. So today's video is going to be some tips to get you through your driving test. Hopefully if you follow these tips you'll be able to pass first time. So let's get started. So the first tip that I have for you might seem obvious, but it's a really good idea to get yourself an approved driving instructor. Why? Because the driving instructor can assess your driving and make sure that you are ready for your test. It doesn't matter if you've been driving for 5, 10, 15 or 20 years. It doesn't matter. You still need someone to assess your driving, tell you anything that you can improve and make you aware of any mistakes that you might be making. Likewise, if you're a brand new driver, it's also a good idea to use an approved driving instructor so that they can teach you the right way to do things first time, so that you're not having to go over everything and try to get rid of bad habits that you've been taught by somebody else. That then brings me on to the second tip, which is practice. Practice makes perfect, right? So the more that you practice, the better you are going to be at driving. And your aim should be that when your test day comes, that you can just drive the same way that you've been driving on your driving lessons. And the only way that is going to happen is if you've had enough practice. You definitely don't want to be just having a few lessons, 1-2 lessons, and then turning up at the test centre and thinking, oh, you know, I can drive the car, I'm going to pass the test, because it's not easy to pass a driving test. You need to practice lots. You should be thinking along the lines of, I am going to have one driving lesson at least where I am not making any mistakes. My instructor doesn't have to tell me over and over again, oh, you need to cancel your signal, you need to change gear, you need to do this, you need to do that. You should be able to have at least one driving lesson where you are making hardly any mistakes and no major mistakes. If you can do that, then you shouldn't have any problems passing your driving test. Next, you learn a lot of things for your theory test, so please try not to forget them. They do come in really useful even on the practical driving test, and there's no point in trying to go over all these things just, you know, the night before the test when you've realised that you might be asked some questions. Definitely good idea to make sure that you know what all the road signs mean so that it doesn't cost you your test on the day. Imagine you don't know what the no entry sign means, and then on a driving test you're asked to take the next available left and you end up going down a one-way street the wrong way. You wouldn't have done that if you knew what the no entry sign meant. So make sure that you remember your theory test questions and that you keep practicing. That then brings me to the next thing of making sure that you come prepared to the test centre with a vehicle. You do need to provide a vehicle for your test. The examiner will not provide one. If you're using your driving instructor's car, well then that's fine. You don't really need to worry. But if you're using your own car, you do need to make sure that the car is roadworthy and that the car is taxed and insured. You need to make sure that there are no faults on the dashboard. It does clearly state that the car should be free from any faults on the dashboard. And if you do turn up to the test centre with any sort of fault on, you are not going to be going out on your test in that car. So make sure that that is something that you have done. Lastly, make sure that you prepare. So you've practiced, you've listened to what your instructor has told you need to do, you have your car ready. It's also a really good idea to make sure that you are familiar with the area that you are taking a driving test in. So it's not that you have to have all your driving lessons in that one area, because the point of driving is to learn how to drive. You should be able to drive anywhere, but it's also a good idea to make sure that you don't just turn up to an unknown location that you've never been to in your life and expect that you're going to be able to pass easily, because that alone is going to make you nervous. You know, if you drive into a location and you start seeing that the roads are not the same way that on the roads that you've been learning to drive on, it's going to cause you some level of nerve. So make sure that you do drive around the area that you are going to be taking your test on, so that you can be as prepared as possible on the day of your test. So thank you so much for watching. Please remember to subscribe to the channel, click on the notifications and like this video if you found it useful, and I will see you on the next video.